Hello, friends. I hope you all are doing super well and staying fabulous and, staying healthy. So, for those of you who have not watched the first introductory video, I highly encourage you all to go back and take a peek. However, if you're like, don't tell me what to do, I'm starting with video number two. That's fine. That's totally cool. You didn't really miss much. I just, gave a brief introduction of myself and who I am and my role and my hopes for these videos. So for those of you who do not know me, I am the graduate social work intern at the Baldwin Public Library, and I am here making these videos. For a few purposes, but mainly my ultimate goal is to normalize the conversation about some of the mental health challenges and struggles that we might be facing as a result of the corona pandemic. I'm also here to alleviate some of the negative feelings or emotions or thoughts or whatever that might be coming up as a result of our current situation. So, with that said, let's go ahead and dive right in. So today's video is on a topic that I think is super applicable to just about everybody right now. Something that we're probably all experiencing a bit of, and that is anxiety. Yikes. Anxiety sounds scary. So before we get a little too deep into it, I want to start with the basics, and that is what the heck is anxiety? Like what is this thing? I'm not gonna lie, I have a little cheat sheet here. But the American Psychological Association defines anxiety as an emotion characterized by feelings of tension, worried thoughts, and physical sensations. Yikes, it sounds scary, right? Wrong. No, anxiety it sounds like this big terrifying thing, but it's actually one of your body's very, very normal and natural responses to stress. So it is super, super common, and there is really nothing to worry about or get anxious about anxiety. Um, so I do want to emphasize that anxiety is normal. We all experience it on some degree and on some level. It is common and it is universal. It doesn't discriminate based on, gender, race, ethnic background, sexual orientation, religion. Um, Anxiety is something that we all experience on some degree. So my point, in case I haven't gotten it across, my point is that anxiety is normal, especially right now, especially during this uncertain and kind of scary time for us. Um, so with that said, what is anxiety? Anxiety is that creeping feeling that, something just isn't right. Something's a little off. Something's just, a little disarray. Anxiety is also often associated with several like physical sensations, such as, an increased heart rate, sweaty palms. It's my one of my downfalls. Rapid breathing, restlessness, trouble concentrating, difficulty falling asleep, which I am also super guilty of having. So anxiety is, it's normal, it's common, it can manifest itself in a variety of different ways, and it's different for everyone. Um, I think one of the reasons why anxiety can be so frustrating is because it's almost like cyclical in a way. Oftentimes stress can cause anxiety, but then in return, anxiety can cause more stress. So it's like this big circle that kind of happens. Um, I also like to view anxiety on something of like a spectrum, I guess. So on one end of the spectrum, you have very mild anxiety. So you have, maybe you're a little extra flustered or frustrated or annoyed one day, or you're, just not really kind of, just something feels a little off, but you're not really quite sure what it is. So you kind of brush it off and you can go about your day normally, with just a little extra awareness of it. But then on the other spectrum, on the other end of the spectrum, is uh, much more severe anxiety. That's anxiety that can arise to the level of anxiety attacks. It's, particularly more aggressive and persistent. And it happens when and panic and anxiety attacks, particularly, although they are two separate things, they can be, very comparable. And they both happen when our anxiety is like at, an all-time high, where it's that breaking point for a lot of us. It's that like, yikes, I don't know how much more I can take. And again, it's a normal reaction. Some of the common physiological things that people experience when they're feeling an anxiety attack, in addition to, a few things that I just mentioned before, um, are feeling faint or dizzy, shortness of breath, dry mouth, sweating, chills, hot flashes, a little extra worry, restlessness, distress, fear, and then even in some cases, numbness and tingling. And these are all obviously terrifying things, and they do correlate a lot with, symptoms of like a heart attack. And it's very easy to, fear the worst and say, oh my God, I am dying, like in the middle of this anxiety or, even panic attack. But it's really important to remember that, well, obviously make sure you're not having a heart attack, but it's important to remember that, what you're going through is temporary and it will pass. Um, you know, Anxiety is so unbelievably normal, that I will let you guys in on a little secret. And that is, even as someone who is, a trained crisis counselor and, working on my MSW, and someone who is planning on going into the mental health field, I am someone who experiences anxiety. I still get anxiety attacks. I still get panic attacks. It's that common and that normal that even, your own mental health professionals experience it. So in case I didn't grill it into your brains enough, anxiety is normal. Very, very normal. So with that, of course, I'm not going to leave you guys just hanging with this, huge topic of anxiety just looming over your heads, not sure what to do with it. I want to give you guys a few ways to be proactive in, decreasing or preventing altogether, that overwhelming sense of anxiety. But I also want to give you some tips and tricks on what to do when you are experiencing that extreme level of anxiety and you are experiencing that panic attack or that anxiety attack, or you really are at that level of, oh my God, I'm freaking out. So I guess some proactive stuff to start. Start with the simple things, listen to your doctor. Diet, exercise, and drink water. And exercise particularly, like exercise for real. I am totally guilty of, doing like a sit up, a push up, and a squat and being like, woo, that was my workout for the day. Like I'm good to go. No, like take it seriously. Actually go work out. It's obviously not easy to go to gyms right now, but go for a run, go for a walk, do something, get those endorphins pumping. Um, Another thing you could also do as a preventative or proactive measure with dealing with anxiety is meditation. Meditation can be a really wonderful way of putting our minds and our lives sort of on pause for a moment, and just regrounding ourselves and regrouping and focusing on the things that we need to focus on and clearing our minds. The library offers some wonderful online meditation classes that I would definitely highly recommend taking a peek at. But then, if you're like, no, I don't want to do that, there's also a whole host of meditation apps and guides out there for you. So, the resources are certainly out there. There's ample amounts of them. Um, so some reactive things that you can do when anxiety is at that level and you are feeling that, anxiety attack or that level of stress or panic that you're just not really able to cope with. One of the things that I personally do, and I think certainly helps, is to relabel what's happening. And what I mean by that is acknowledging what you're going through and understanding that it's just temporary. So it's saying to yourself, okay, Molly, I am having this anxiety attack, but hey, this is temporary. This is not going to last forever. This is going to last a few minutes or however long it's going to last, and then it's going to be gone. Um, Another thing that it's a little bit more difficult to do sometimes. However, I have had some pretty successful experiences with it, is translating that fear and that worry that arises during an anxiety attack and translating it into excitement. I don't think people realize that anxiety and excitement are very, 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 very similar emotions. They share a lot of the same characteristics and qualities. So, if you're able to try to channel some of that anxiety into excitement, get excited that you're experiencing this anxiety attack, like just appreciate like what your body and your mind are telling you. Appreciate the fact that you're able to feel something and that you're getting something out, you know? But if you're like, no way, it's not for me, it doesn't work. Um, there's also ample breathing techniques that I would definitely recommend. Just one of my personal favorites. It's called a 4-7-8 breathing technique. Just in a nutshell, it's inhaling for 4 seconds. It's pausing and holding that inhale for 7 and exhaling for 8. Um, I have found this to be extremely effective, and it you do this a few times. Don't do it too much because you do stand the chance of getting lightheaded or a little bit numb or whatever. But you do this a few times, and it definitely calms your mind, calms your body, calms your central nervous system. It's just been very effective for me personally. Um, Another thing that you can also give a try if you're like, no, the breathing's not working, like the meditation's not working, everything else isn't working. You can try grounding techniques. This is also really good for panic attacks. One of my favorite, and I think probably the most common grounding technique would be the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. It's a little bit longer to explain, but I will give it a go as best I can. So the purpose of grounding techniques are really for you to get out of your mind and get more into the physical space around you. So with that, you start with 5, what are 5 things around you that you can see? And an example might be, I see my lamp, I see a poster, I see my bed, I see my bed sheets, I see my laptop. What are 5 things that you can see? It doesn't have to be anything huge or super particular, just anything, any 5 things. Then you move on to 4, and what are 4 things that you can feel? And that can be, the way your clothing feels on your skin, the way like a blanket might feel, the way your socks feel on your feet. Really like anything that pertains to feeling. What are 4 things that you can feel? And then you move on to 3, and what are 3 things you can hear? And that can be, your neighbor next door mowing their lawn. It can be, birds chirping away outside. It could be your, family member vacuuming downstairs when you specifically ask them not to during a specific time. Um, it can really be anything. And so you move on to two, and that's what are two things you can smell? One of the things that I personally love doing before this exercise is I like to light a candle. Obviously, use caution. Please do not use candles, in inappropriate or dangerous manners. Please, I just do not use caution when lighting a candle. But I do like to light like a very strongly scented candle. And I take notice of the scent of the candle, but then I'll also take notice of things like the way my sheets smell or like the way like the fabric softener on my clothing smells. It's things like that. Um, and then you get down to one, and one is what is one thing that you can taste. Um, this is like anything. Like I highly recommend chewing gum, pop a piece of gum in your mouth or a hard candy. Obviously, don't swallow it. Don't, be careful, obviously. But what's one thing that you can taste and that you can focus your chewing or your taste buds on? Um, and that's your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique, and it can be extremely effective. And you can do it quickly. You can draw it out for as long as you want. There's really no right or wrong way to do it. The purpose is to just distract your mind with your actual physical surroundings, and I have found it to be personally extremely helpful. And then there's just like, the little things that you can do in addition to, the above mentioned stuff. You can watch a funny video, turn on, a Netflix special and laugh your butt off. It's something that I think, many people take advantage of. And I think, I'm certainly one of them. And I think it really definitely helps. Go for a walk, play with a pet, hug a pillow, or, depending on where we are in this quarantine as this video like airs, I guess you could potentially hug a person, but I just, listen to the experts on that. Um, yeah, so there's a lot of big things and a lot of little things you could do to sort of combat and prevent anxiety. So that's pretty much it. That's anxiety in a nutshell for you. There's obviously so many more ways to deal with anxiety and to best cope with it. And coping with anxiety, I think, is a very personal thing. What works for one person might not work for another. I think everybody needs to develop their own thing that works for them. Um, so, friends, please, if you have any questions, concerns, you want more tips or tricks, or you just want to get a little bit more in depth, please feel free to email me. My email is either above or below this video. I don't remember which one, but it is somewhere on this page. So please feel free to reach out. I'm here for you. I'm here to help you. And that's pretty much it. So stick around. I hope to see you all in video number 3, which should be coming out in a few days. So with that said, stay healthy, be kind to one another, and just be well. Be healthy and stay well, everyone. Bye for now. Bye, friends.